issues. My name is Lungile. Today on the show, we'll be talking to members of Toastmasters, which is a non-profit organization, and they will tell us more about what their organization does. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'll start with the lady. May you introduce yourself to the viewers?
A very good morning to you, Lungile. My name is Kanyisile Marima, and I'm the current Vice President Education of Toastmasters. The name of our club is Supreme.
Thank you so much, Lungile, for having us. My name is Ndumiso Ngcobe, and I'm the current president of Supreme Toastmasters.
All right, before we get into anything, I first want to ask, why do you call it Supreme Toastmasters?
First of all, before we get to why it's called Supreme Toastmasters, Toastmasters is an international organization. It is headquartered in the United States of America, and it has got over about 16,600 clubs worldwide, and here in Malawi we just have 2. So each club has to be identified by its name. That's why I was saying we are Supreme Toastmasters. So it is the name that we decided to give to our club when we launched it back in 2015.
All right. And what is Supreme Toastmasters all about?
Supreme Toastmasters, we meet on Mondays at Sila's house. We meet 5:30 to 7:30. And what we do there is we have an agenda set for every Monday. And the format of our meetings is we normally will have our introductions and we will explain who we are, what we are about. And after that, our meeting is in 3 sections. We start off with introducing our role officers, which is during the meeting, there are role officers that will be assessing what will be happening, which is, for example, we'll have an R counter who will be counting gap fillers when we're speaking the ums and the ers that we speak. And then we also have a grammarian who will be looking at the grammar that is used, that we are using the correct English, and we are not using slang or short words like can't and don't. We have to speak in full. And then we'll also be having a general evaluator and a timer. And then in those roles, you pick up competencies that you need to use in your working life, in your career life, or it's in your ministry at church or in business. So that's the first session. They will introduce the role officers who will be assessing the meeting. Then we have prepared speeches, because all of us have a syllabus that we follow, and it's called Pathways, which I'll explain a bit later on. So we go and we prepare in our own time, and then during the meeting, we normally have 3 prepared speeches. And someone will go and research on an area, and then they'll speak between 5 to 7 minutes or 10 to 12 minutes on whatever it is that they've planned on. While that's happening, those role officers will be assessing the timer. You're keeping your time, the R counter, you've got no gaps, the grammarian, that your grammar is correct. Then after that, we move to our next section, which is impromptu speeches. This is where we sharpen our thinking skills off the cuff. You're given a topic and you're given less than a minute from the time you get up from your seat to you get to the front to think of what you need to say between 1 and 2 minutes. And we find that skill, it will sharpen your skills as an impromptu speaker, because you find maybe you go to a hospital or it's a funeral and they just pick on you and say, can we have a word of prayer, or can you give closing remarks? So it sharpens that skill of thinking light on your feet. Then our last part is that we evaluate, and we always evaluate to motivate. So each speaker will now be evaluated on the prepared speeches. They don't necessarily evaluate the impromptus, but after the meeting, everyone is an evaluator, and they can give you feedback that when you spoke there, you could have done this, you could have done that. And as an evaluator, you get to sharpen your soft skills, which is skills that you can't get from having a degree or going to college. It's skills that you get on the go, your listening skills, your analyzing skills. And you find that in a Toastmasters meeting, we wear many hats. So you can have a role as an R counter and still take up a role as an impromptu. So you are supposed to be prepared to multitask, because in life you have to multitask. You can't just say, I'm only going to answer a phone. While you're answering a phone, let's say in a work scenario, there'll be clients walking in. So it teaches you those skills to be able to multitask.
Okay, so in a way, Toastmasters, what you guys train people is to have adequate life skills in a way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically what happens in our meeting. So what she just highlighted is the structure of our meeting, as in how they are structured from the beginning up to the end of the meeting. So what I'd like to add on that is the core skills that we have as Toastmasters, or rather that we teach each other, or we teach people who come into our meetings. There is public speaking, which I can say is the first one. Wherever we go, when we hear of Toastmasters, you know that there's public speaking, and there is interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication, we're looking at the conversations that you have wherever you go, be it at a networking event, on what to do, on what words to use, and how to effectively engage with your members. And we also got time management. On time management, like she highlighted, that our speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes. There are also some which are 8 to 10 and some 10 to 12. So you are timed on each and every speaker, on each and every speech that you take. So like I've realized, or maybe you've even seen it yourself, where someone at a funeral or at an event is called to give just a vote of thanks. It should be something like about 2 minutes or even less than that. But then now here someone starting from all the other things that are not even relevant to that. So now we're saying, if you come to Toastmasters, you get to gain all those competencies. Like we say, there are over about 300 competencies that are there. So it is a package that has almost everything. And we say there is also the other competence that you get when you come to Toastmasters. It is confidence. Confidence is something that you cannot be taught. Like she said that, you can get a degree. Can get a degree in English, in communication, but as long as you don't speak, as long as you don't practice speaking, you'll never be good at it. It's like swimming. For you to be an expert in that, you need to start swimming.
All right.
That's basically it.
Okay. So from what I'm getting is that for when you talk about Toastmasters, it's all about good communication skills. It's all about speaking. You have to know how to speak in front of a lot of people. Is that what you guys are saying?
Yes, and you have to speak in a structured format. Okay. You need to have an introduction, you need to have your 3 main points, and then you need to have a conclusion. Because I'm sure you found in life where people just ramble from the top of their heads in an unstructured manner. But at Toastmasters, they teach you the right way that you're supposed to speak. And even with your 3 points, they have sub-points, so that you appear to be more confident and like you know what you're talking about. It's skills, what we call it, it's a gym for speaking. And it's every Monday we practice that.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Just maybe to add on to what she was saying, on whenever you're speaking, you need to have that structure. Like she talked about the introduction. Whenever you're in front of an audience, what you need to make sure is that your introduction has to be captivating, that's one, or it has to go straight to the point of whatever you want to say, rather than meandering, then coming back to your point. Because the main point that you need to have is you need to capture the attention of your audience. That's number one. When you get to there, you get on to now tell them about what you really want them to know. So the speech can have 2 purposes. The first one is a general purpose, where you get to whether inform, entertain, or educate. Then once you've done that, you need to get to what we call a specific purpose. On that, that's where you call your audience to action to say, what do you want them to do after listening to you? Because I've even had a number of speakers, they tell you all these facts, all these things, but at the end of the day, they don't tell you what to do after listening to it. So we do it in a structured manner such that you'll take action after listening to our speakers.
All right. You mentioned something about public speaking, but then when I was in high school, the Toastmasters that we had was not on public speaking. There was a club for public speaking and debate, but then when you go to Toastmasters, you would actually be taught on etiquette. So may you explain to me how different is the Toastmasters that you have and the Toastmasters that is at school?
Well, I will say that the Toastmasters clubs that are at school, or rather that are at high schools, they're not really registered with Toastmasters International. So whatever structure that they come up with is just for them to be better leaders without really a structure. So what they focus more on, I know of Toastmasters clubs and people who have been there, they say Toastmasters was this way, but then now how is yours different? That side, it was more of grooming and etiquette. But then now we're saying, of course, it's part of it. Whereas what we focus on more is not only that, but we've got more than that.
All right. Let's take a short break and we'll be back to discuss more on Toastmasters.
What can CITE do for you? The Center for Innovation and Technology offers a business opportunity to engage directly with your market online. We also offer media training workshops, live streaming, documentary production, and events management. For more information, visit our website and social media platforms. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. With CITE, you'll never miss a thing.
Okay. Welcome back to Code 0292. I'm still with Skanyisile and Dumiso, and we are talking about Toastmasters. So, Skanyisile, may you please explain to me what are the benefits of being a Toastmaster?
Thank you, Lungile. The benefits of being a Toastmaster are endless, and you start seeing them maybe after 1 month of attending. I'll talk about my journey when I started Toastmasters. I was very nervous, I couldn't speak, I had no confidence. But as I started attending the Monday meetings and I saw the confidence levels of the speakers, then I started to pick up my own skills, because it's a supportive learning environment and you are free to make all your mistakes there, so that when you go out into the world, the real world now where it counts, like let's say an interview situation, or it's with your boss or it's with a supplier, you're not making those mistakes. So definitely in terms of building your self-confidence, that's the place for it. As Dumiso spoke about public speaking, learning how you are supposed to speak, we take it for granted and we think that why have structured speech, but it's very important for us wherever we speak to speak with impact and to speak with purpose, because you don't want to waste people's time or appear unknowledgeable about topics. So on the public speaking front, definitely that's a skill. And the other benefit, I think, it's time management, because our meeting starts promptly at 20 to 6 actually, and we don't wait for anyone. And because there is a timer throughout timing every single thing that we do, it teaches you even as a person to keep time. And it's very irritating if someone says, I'll meet you at 1 o'clock and they appear at 2 o'clock. Or you're supposed to be at an interview at 2 o'clock and you appear at 3 o'clock after the panelists are already upset with you. So time management is a very important skill. And after you're a member of Toastmasters, it will have been sharpened. And the other skill that you learn is to take criticism. And as human beings, we don't take criticism easily. But then the thing is that you find at Toastmasters, we criticize in a supportive environment, in a supportive way. But out there, sometimes when they criticize, they don't criticize to motivate you. It can actually mean when they criticize you, you've lost the deal, you've lost the tender. So you rather you learn how to be criticized in a supportive environment and learn how to take feedback and apply feedback, so that when it really now matters in real life, you're not making those mistakes. And it also teaches you to work as a team, because at Toastmasters we have role officers. As he said, he's the president, I'm the vice president, and there's an executive of about 7 members, and those members are supposed to work as a team, and any Toastmaster can take up those executive roles. And then those executive roles teach you now, if you go back to a real life setting, let's say now you're at work, there are head of departments, and you've got to work with other line managers reporting to a CEO. You've already practiced that at Toastmasters, how to work as a team, how to lead a team, and how to be a team member. So at least you get to learn that. I don't know if I missed out anything.
No, I'll say, like you say, that the benefits are so endless. Just to emphasize on the point that you talked about, being Toastmasters being a place where one grows and where the environment is supportive. We say we're a supportive learning environment where members are empowered to develop their communication and personal skills, or even leadership skills. So we're saying whenever you come there is this phrase that we normally say when we're in our meetings. We say, even if you stammer or stutter or whatever you do, we don't laugh at you. We rather laugh with you, such that we encourage you, such that you'll even be willing to take up even more speeches. Because one of the things that we've noted is whenever you go to a place and you try to grow, some people may not see the potential in you, or rather what they'll do, they'll just crush you and you will say, that's not my place. And as such, I would like to demystify this myth that's there about Toastmasters being a place where there are only orators, people who are good at what they do. It's not a place for people who are like that. If they're like that, then what are they doing there? It's for people like you and me who want to learn to improve themselves in whatever they're doing. Like you say that at a workplace, you might need the skills of Toastmasters. It's not only at your workplace, but wherever you go. Even if you're a pastor, you'll need all those skills, because I know some people have gone even to church and they're saying, what time are we knocking off, because this pastor is taking long and he's not even saying something, because there is just saying out points without really getting to communicate. So now we say when you come there are other skills that you get to even connect with the audience, to say you are really painting images in their minds, not only about you saying out words or doing whatever.
Okay. So what can one do to be a Toastmaster? What can they do?
It's very easy to join. You can come to our meetings on Monday at 5:30, and then from there you just observe the meeting. For you to join, you pay an international joining fee of $20, and then from there you pay a membership fee for $45. That just covers the admin costs of the literature, maintaining the database. There's a portal. Once you are a member, they create a portal for you where you'll be tracking your progress. That's all you need to do. You just need to come for a meeting and we take it from there. And what we also have is guests that continually come. Let's say I don't have the money, but I really like this Toastmasters thing. You can come and be a guest, but it will only limit you in the fact that you can't take on the syllabus, which we call pathways. But in terms of observing and practicing some of the impromptus and the other roles, it is open for you to practice. So,
okay, just in case, to emphasize on the $45, it's $45, not bond. So to emphasize on that, there is the $20 that you pay, which is a once-off, and the $45. But then now the $45 is a renewable sub that you pay after every 6 months. So you don't have to pay it on a monthly basis. So you can even come and make a payment plan with our treasurer, and we remit it to Toastmasters International.
Okay. And you will find that it might sound like it's a lot of money, but for the networking and the skills that you will learn when you are there, they far outweigh. You even forget that this is $45 in this economy because of the skills and the competencies. Like he said, over 300 competencies, and you will never be the same again after joining.
And also looking at this, it's not like you only get to meet and mingle with people in our club. Like I said, here in Lawa, I've got 2 clubs here. I've got Dream Achievers and Supreme Toastmasters. Then in Harare, we've got about 8 clubs. It's not only limited to Zimbabwe or Lawa, but the world. The world over.
So what people would do, let's say I'm traveling to South Africa, I'm staying in Johannesburg, I can Google and say, when I get there, which Toastmasters club is nearest to where I'll be staying. It's like a family. It's an international family. And when you get there, the structure of the meetings is the same, the format is the same. So we are actually a family of international Toastmasters. So it's an international benefit.
All right. Earlier you mentioned you mentioned pathways.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe you can elaborate on these courses.
Okay. Or maybe before she talks about pathways, back then there used to be one program that was done by everyone who joined Toastmasters, and we called it the traditional project, whereby you do 10 speeches for you to become what we call a competent communicator. So in that project, you do 10 speeches. All those 10 speeches would be evaluated. I'll just mention maybe up to 5 because 10 will be too much for now. So the first one was called the icebreaker. The icebreaker will be to test you or to discover the speaking skills that you already have as a speaker. So it's just 4 to 6 minutes. You'll be introducing yourself to the audience. Then they evaluate you. Whenever they're evaluating you, they are looking at the skills that you already possess or even areas where you need to improve on. Then when we get to the second one, it was called getting to the point. On getting to the point there, you just make sure that in your introduction you mention what you want to talk about. Then we went on to the other one, which was called organize your speech. Like we talked about the proper introduction, body, and conclusion. Then there is how to say it. Now, when it comes to how to say it, you're on another level. It means you are now using the right words, shorter sentences to communicate your ideas, because we've realized that in communicating, some people tend to lose the message because of longer sentences or even using jargon. So you need to get rid of that jargon, technical jargon that you may have. For instance, as an accountant, I may want to use some words that people may not really understand. So I have to know my audience first, such that I'll level down and communicate with them such that they hear me. And we say, in saying that, you need to have the rhetorical devices that are needed there, and they are summarized maybe into triads, similes, metaphors, and all those words that are flowery, such that they communicate a message rather than just speaking. Then the fifth one was your body language. Your body speaks. So whenever you're speaking, your hands, your gestures, your facial expression, they communicate something. Even the dressing, which you asked about earlier on saying, how about etiquette? It also plays a part there, because they say first impressions always matter.
Okay. So what happened after that? Now they changed from that method and they moved to pathways. And pathways is more inclusive of what we all, like if you've got different interests or different tastes, different professions. And for now they split it into 10 paths. So I spoke about the portal, that once you pay your joining fee, you get access to a portal, and that $45 allows you to access a path. You do a self-assessment on that portal. And basically the self-assessment will be asking where you are right now as a speaker, what you want to focus on. Do you want to focus on writing presentations? Do you want to focus on writing reports? Do you want to improve your public speaking? It is tailor-made to suit you. And then what happens is that portal will then generate 3 paths of which you can choose. So I'll just give you a list of the paths that are offered. There's dynamic leadership, effective coaching, innovative planning, leadership development, motivational strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery, strategic relationships, team collaboration, and visionary communication. So this one, it's not like the old curriculum. This one is tailor-made to suit you. Of course, that self-assessment, you don't have to stick to it. If you don't want to follow the recommendation it gave you from the questions that you answered, you can then just say, I just want to do something else. I'm personally doing innovative planning. And with pathways, it's actually better than the old method, because you have 5 levels. And after your level 1, you get credentials much faster than the old curriculum. The old curriculum, you had to do all the 10 levels before you could be called a competent communicator or a competent leader and so forth. But with this one, the moment I finish my level 1, I'm already an innovative planner level 1. They commend you as you finish each level, just to encourage you so you don't tire to finish. And then in each of the parts, as he said, there will be a syllabus, like a set out thing. That also for pathways, there's an icebreaker. That's where you start off. And then from there, your level 2, you have to now be, on level 1, after you do your icebreaker, then you start doing prepared speeches, then you start learning how to evaluate. And the difference between the old syllabus and this new one is that all the things that he was speaking about on pathways, you have to have those competencies: the eye contact, the body language, vocal variety, stage presence. Everything is all included at one. You start learning it from the icebreaker, whereas on the old one, you would pick them up as per the level. So they found that, no, you actually need these things, and you start learning them from speech number 1. They assess you on everything.
Okay. So how is it helpful to young people to actually join Toastmasters?
First of all, what I would like to say is that this world is run by leaders. So for leaders to be effective leaders, they need to be able to communicate. And whenever you are a leader, you are communicating with audiences. So that is the first step. I remember for myself, back when I was in Form 1, I ran away from public speaking. I was invited, but then I said, this is not me. I don't belong here. I did it again in Form 3, but then later in life it caught up with me where I found myself a leader and having to speak before an audience. So I didn't have those skills. That's why I had to look for Toastmasters. So if ever you want to lead effectively, you have to make sure that you join Toastmasters wherever you are, be it at church, at school, wherever, even whatever field you are in.
All right.
I would like to add to that, especially for young people, because young people are at school and you find that there is group work of which you will learn how to network and from Toastmasters, and then after that you've got to present your work to your supervisors or answer questions. You know how teachers like to pick on people in a class setting. Now, if you don't have the confidence to present your points, already you will stutter and stammer and lose your point. So it's very applicable for young people, and then after that they're jostling for the job market. They're going to have to attend an interview, and an interview is impromptu questions, of which if you had come to Toastmasters, you'd have sharpened your impromptu thinking skills because of that impromptu section. So definitely you'll compete better in an interview than someone, if you're a Toastmaster, than someone who doesn't even know anything about Toastmasters. And if I take it to the work setting, everything in work is an impromptu meeting, from answering a telephone call from a supplier, from impromptu meetings with your boss, from interacting with your colleagues when they ask you a question that, what did this person say? Everything is impromptu. Everything is about speaking. So it's actually, for young people, it's a necessity. Even if they want to run their own businesses, you have to now look for funding. Those people, whether it's your parents or your relatives or the bank, you've got to present your idea in a way in which they'll give you the funding. And even when you've now got the product or the service, you've got to convince the market that it is worth it. So you have to speak. So it's actually a necessity for young people. And as they grow, even in church, in the church setting, home setting, in every aspect of your life, I think Toastmasters is the place to be to get those competencies.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ndumiso and Kanyisile, for coming to the show. I'm sure that the audience heard what you guys are talking about, and they are definitely going to join Toastmasters.
Thank you so much, Lungile, for having us.
And thank you for watching Code 0292. From me, Lungile, it's bye for now. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Center for Innovation and Technology, and follow us on Twitter at CITEZW. See you next week.